All right. Let's get things going. Just setting everything up for us. Okay, great. Our YouTube stream is live. Reduce some of that mic audio so you guys don't hear my clacky keyboard. All right. Just pulling up our streams and then we'll get started. I see the chat for X, and let me make sure I see the chat for YouTube as well. Bear with me, of course, it's our first time doing this, so just getting everything settled in, and then we'll kick it off. We've got a lot of fun stuff to chat about today.
Hey, Tomas.
Hey, Shashank. Nice. All right. I can't get my YouTube chat to show up, but I see the Twitch chat, and I'll follow along on Discord if you guys are chatting there. But here we go. Let's get started. Pull up our docs here. How many people do we have in the stream? Does it feel like a good time to start now?
Yeah,
I'm giving it a sec. Yeah? All right. Sweet. Let's do it. So, welcome everybody to the first installation of what we're temporarily calling the OpenRouter Show. There might be a different name at some point in the future. We've debated a lot of names, didn't quite get there in time, but really excited to host something that's probably going to look like a weekly, bi-weekly show, talk a little bit about OpenRouter's feature developments, some of our data that we're sharing, a little bit of everything. So let me read a little bit of our spiel here that we have prepared. As a team, we have a ton of data. We publish a lot of it in our rankings, on our model pages, things like uptime, throughput, pricing, cache pricing, all of this stuff. We also have a lot of internal data that we're figuring out how to productize and how to share with the community. So part of the thing we want to do with this show is talk about our data, talk about the data that's being seen in the space, things like the State of AI ecosystem reports by teams like Menlo and A16Z, or new publishings from teams like Artificial Analysis or Element Arena, and kind of bring all of that data, combine it all together to create insights that are actually useful or interesting or worth talking about, both as app developers or our end users or our providers, all these different players in the AI ecosystem. We think we have an interesting perspective, and we want to share the insights that we can generate from all of our data. So yeah, I think that you can kind of think about this show as like an AI inference data recap, rundown. We will generally think about this show as an open forum for conversations. So if you're watching and you're part of an interesting team, or you're an inference provider, or you're an app developer and you'd love to join and talk with us at some point in the future, this is not going to be our only episode. We'll do plenty of these, and it'll be an open floor, open conversation for a bunch of folks who want to chat. Couple of quick things to note. Obviously, as we are doing a live stream and there's going to be special guests, please make sure to be civil in the chat. We will moderate, we will kick you out, and you will ruin your opportunity to come and chat with the OpenRouter team if you break these rules. So civility and respect is very important for us as we do these shows. Introducing ourselves here on the OpenRouter Show. My name is Tomas. I go by Toven on Twitter. I'm OpenRouter platform engineer, and the person joining me today is Shashank. Shashank and I work on the provider ecosystem team here at OpenRouter. We deal with the models and providers on our platform. So Shashank, if you want to give a little bit of intro about yourself and how you are one of our founding engineers and all this fun stuff, go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks, Tomas. Thanks for the introduction. My name is Shashank. As Tomas is saying, I head the provider ecosystem team. We work with all of the model labs and model creators, and we really want to take all of the pain of dealing with all the different idiosyncrasies with the models and making it really easy for the community to use all the different models. And I'm really excited to be speaking to you guys, to speaking to the community. We really value all of the insights and feedback that you guys bring. And so really we just wanted to create a space for all of you to be able to hear us talk, send us questions so that we can answer any of them. Today, we're really excited for the first iteration of our OpenRouter podcast, Spaces talk show. And we have some really exciting updates for you all. We are just launching our first SDK ever. It's our TypeScript SDK. It's going to be fully type-safe, super low bundle size, and it's going to be the best and most friction-free way to use OpenRouter. It is available in beta already. The GitHub repo is just openrouter/TypeScript-SDK. Go find it on NPM or GitHub. Use it. Please tell us if you guys have any feedback. We're actively working on it and really want to make sure that we provide the best developer experience for using any sort of model in the ecosystem. And that's also going to include working with Vercelia SDK and all of the other frameworks that we can integrate ourselves into. We want to be wherever you guys are. And so the SDK is our first step in starting to do that.
Sick. I'm super excited about the SDK. I think it's been a pretty big feature request from our customers. We see it as a really important step forward to allow us to develop more features that kind of continue to superset the OpenAI API shapes and make it continuously easy to use. Yeah. Awesome.
One more thing to add. We're starting with TypeScript, but definitely we will have Python, Java, C++, and if there are languages other than those that you guys are using at work, please let us know so we can get that prioritized. But we'll definitely be having those languages to start with, and we're really excited. We also have a Discord community that you can join, and obviously you can make any issues you have on our GitHub repo. We're going to be really active monitoring all of those and get that resolved for you ASAP.
Sweet. I see a couple of folks on YouTube chat. One saying, in the meantime, I developed my own OpenRouter SDK for Go, which is great. We'll consider that in the future. And somebody else said they've already switched from the OpenAI library to using the OpenRouter SDK. So that's sweet. Please make sure to give us feedback. You are the exact kind of person we built this for.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Thanks, you guys.
Yeah. There's a couple of other things we've launched recently that we think are really important. To kick that kind of recap off, I want to talk for a little bit about provider variance. We've been seeing this problem become more and more prevalent. More and more people are thinking about it. Provider teams are thinking about it. The model labs are thinking about it. The most recent example we have, of course, is the Kimi K2 vendor verifier repo. They ran benchmarks across all the providers on OpenRouter and even providers that we don't have on our platform, and came up with some really interesting results. There was a bunch of variance that this benchmark kind of brought to light, but as people worked through it, we realized, this variant is not necessarily caused by any kind of malice or any kind of intentional degradation in quality. So to kind of take a step back before I dive into the Kimi K2 vendor verifier project, what I want to get to make sure everybody understands or is on the same page is inference providing is not just running a script and boom, you have a model online. You have different hardware, you have different network stacks, you have different tool parsers, chat templates, quantization levels, speculative decoding, all these different strategies and techniques that a provider can use to serve what is essentially a different product. Our COO Chris Clark, has brought this to the attention of the media a couple of times in a bunch of really good ways that I'm probably going to butcher the recap for here. But essentially, you can think about a Cerebras or a Grok or a Samba Nova model offering as almost an entirely different product as somebody like Deep Infra or Novita offering the same model. The throughput and speed you get from these providers looks very different from the throughput and speed you get from Novita. And of course, that might come with some drawbacks or some other compromises. You might see, higher quality benchmark results possibly on a less quantized provider or somebody who isn't necessarily using speculative decoding, but at the same time, you're not able to create the same apps or feature sets or apply the same model product to different use cases than you could with like Grok or Cerebras. It doesn't really apply to provider variants, but recently, for example, Cognition launched their model, which is very high throughput, SWE 1.5, and they're using it in combination with Sonnet 4.5 to create code maps. They claim that that feature, code maps, would not have been possible without a high throughput model like SWE 1.5. So provider variants comes with a lot of caveats. Kimi K2 Vendorfire specifically tried to kind of even the playing field. It was a tool called Benchmark. It came and kind of brought to light all these issues that we were saying. And when you start digging into the details, things get really interesting. We saw, for example, SGLang specifically, which is an inference engine, had a bunch of issues that were inherent to the default deployment of the Kimi K2 model. We had teams like Shoots dig into the problem and fix things on the tool parser and other pieces of the SGLang default configuration for that model, and we had other teams look at their own tool parsers. Base 10 made improvements. Teams like Silicon Flow were working directly with these model lab teams. And Kimi K2 was not a brand new model. They released Vendor Verifier, I think, about a month out from the model launch. So I think the main thing that people need to take away from it is that model serving is not easy. It is not simple. There is not one size fits all config. Different inference engines, hardware, all this stuff that I mentioned earlier will have different optimal configurations. So the Vendor Verifier really just brought it all to light. What OpenRouter did with that data is we started running our own benchmarks and tried to use the Vendor Verifier data combined with the internal data that we have begun sharing on Twitter, like our tool call success rate data, our tool hallucination rate defects, as well as what are the actual issues. So when you think about tool calling, a model can generate a schema that doesn't actually match what the user originally requested. It might generate just entirely wrong JSON. It might try to call a tool by name that wasn't in the original request. For example, if the request says, search_web, and the model called a tool that was just search without the _web, then your tool call parsing likely fails, right? So there's all these different ways that tool calling fail, and we started tracking that in September. So in combination of the Kimi K2 Vendor Verifier and our own internal data, we were able to create a product that we're calling Exacto. Surely you've seen Exacto on Twitter and around. The idea here is we are combining our benchmark and our data with tools like Kimi K2 Vendor Verifier and other teams, like we worked with Grok's OpenBench, to create endpoints for a model that we're quite confident will have much better tool calling performance than the kind of the default routing that exists on OpenRouter. You can use it today by appending the :Exacto to the end of the 5 open source models we support, and we intend to expand this offering not only to more models, but also we want to share more of our data and more of the kind of explanation of how we even got there to begin with. Um, so we're really excited about this product. In the last week, I've been working with a bunch of the providers, sharing our internal data and our internal benchmarks, so that they can reproduce on their end. They can look into the issues, or they can look into kind of improving performance. And we see this as a win-win for everybody, right? Obviously, inference gets better on OpenRouter, but also inference will get better if you are bringing your own key, if you are going direct, whatever it is. So we really hope that people try Exacto out, give us feedback, create their own benchmarks. We always love throwing credits for folks that have really interesting and fun benchmarks. So that's my spiel on provider variants. Feel free to go check out our Exacto blogs and our docs posts. I think we do a really good job kind of breaking down further in the blog post written by myself and Chris Clark, our CEO.
Thanks, Tomas. And yeah, you guys, we really put a lot of effort into making sure that the inference that we provide on OpenRouter is the best, and there's never any compromises with going to OpenRouter versus going direct. So if you guys ever find any, we want to hear about it. We would love to know about it, and we're working on a lot of exciting things that we're hoping to share very soon around how we can actually detect any degradations automatically, alert those providers, and make sure that our users continue to get the best experience. Saying that, I'm also really excited to talk about a bunch of new features that we've been launching on our platform. So we have also launched a bunch of new modalities. So we have now text and image we've had for a long time, but as of this week, now you can also send video inputs to models that support it. Today, we're just starting with Gemini and Nemotron to begin with, but we'll have lots of new models that support these modalities. We know that the LLM inference world and the world in general is going to be very multimodal, both multimodal inputs and generation. And so we're working with a lot of models labs in the ecosystem to be able to bring those features to you guys. Also, we launched embeddings last week, and that's probably been the most asked for feature that we have had in the 1 year that I've been here. It's something that we've been trying to launch for a long time. So very excited that we were able to get it to you guys this week. We already have, I believe, 5 models that support embeddings on the platform. We'll continue to add more, and you guys can expect the OpenRouter quality that you see on the LLMs to also be the same on embedding models. A lot of the same stuff that you expect will work: automatic fallbacks, provider routing, price sorting, throughput sorting, and we really want to create an ecosystem that's just as vibrant for embeddings as we have for LLMs. And I think, Tomas, we have some exciting guests as well.
Yeah, let me get them to join us now. Super excited to be talking about this from a team that has, been building off of OpenRouter for a long time, and was recently one of the first to kind of take advantage of the fact that we are coming with a new embeddings route with all these new embeddings models. And here we go. Here's Hans.
Hello.
Hello. I was just rolling out the red carpet for you. We have Hans and Dan from Roo Code, who recently were able to use the embeddings models provided by OpenRouter to expand their embeddings models product within Roo Code, which is a coding agent. So I'd love to let you give an intro.
Do you mind coming more into the frame?
Dan is going to be here. Oh, there he is.
There you go. I think this is perfect now.
Oh, why am I off to the side?
Yeah, now you're fine.
Hello,
now
guys.
we're in like 4 grids, so we're perfect.
Perfect.
Except I'm showing off.
Hello, everyone.
Okay. Hello.
Great. So yeah, I was rolling out the red carpet. I introduced a little bit about, we introduced embeddings, and you guys were one of the first to really kick it off. So we'd love to hear from you guys. First, feel free to introduce yourselves, feel free to introduce Roo Code, and then kind of get into it, how you're using the embeddings models. But let's just start with intros.
I'll do the intro on Roo. My name is Hannes Rudolph. I am the community manager at Roo Code, and Roo Code is an AI coding agent that follows agentic. It does agentic workflows, and really it plugs into VS Code and allows you to let the LLM do the work. think earlier this year we introduced a code base indexing feature that allows the large language model to search, instead of just a basic grep search, it searches your code base semantically, and then Roo Code will actually read the specific files. It doesn't use the code indexing in order to understand your code base. It's just for exploration purposes. And so Dan is the one on our team who actually built that integration. Dan, if you want to explain a little more.
Yeah. Basically, a semantic search. We use embeddings for natural language searches. It's not like a context engine in a way that explains what the code base does when you ask questions. It's more of a discovery tool for sure. It shows the model where the things are. Like if it's looking for a logging logic, it's gonna show all the files that have related words semantically to that. For example, if you're looking for logging and there's no logging on your code base and it's just like authentication, it's gonna relate that as well with the help of the embedding models. So basically that's it.
Yeah, I was really excited to hear that you guys were able to kind of take advantage of the embeddings product right away. It's been a pretty popular feature request on our end, and you know, it's pretty obvious that embeddings models are a powerful tool to use. Recently, we saw, for example, Cursor posted their benchmarks of how their agent just with any model performs better with semantic search and via embeddings models rather than just, you know, using the grep tool over and over. So yeah, Shashank, I'm not sure if you had any other questions or something we want to dig into there.
Yeah, absolutely. I also wanted to say, Dan, please introduce yourself as well.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm Dan. I work for Roo Code. I've been working here for about 3-4 months now. I got the job thanks to code base indexing. I was a contributor back then, and thanks to that contribution, I landed the job. But yeah.
And I think that speaks to a lot of what makes, I think, Roo Code really special also, right? You guys are just like always looking out for good community members, people that are like using the product and building it. Would love to understand, Dan, sounds like you've been working in code base indexing for a while. What are the challenges that you guys see for code base indexing? And then, and then I can follow up.
So the main challenge for code base indexing was, I would say, making it fit within a VS Code extension. Cursor has a whole IDE to work with whatever they need to make it fit there. So finding the right pieces to put it together without causing one single extension to be like massive and hogging up all your memory. I guess that was the first major obstacle. And the other one is getting it so that, you can make something with embeddings and it's not going to work great. So getting it to work well for the model to use it and not over rely on it, like not think that the results are the whole files, or it shouldn't do more exploration apart from just code base indexing. Because the models right now are great at exploring the code base, like they're amazing at it. So just giving it the enough context so that it can explore further if it thinks it needs to. Those were the two major obstacles for me.
So how did you guys index? Like, how does the just an extension store even like if you're generating embeddings, is it stored all in memory, or were you guys like able to figure out any like cool tricks to help with that?
We don't store them locally. We use Quadrant to store them. I tried to do it within the extension with LanceDB. That didn't work too great. It uses a lot of resources, and it is just a VS Code extension. So using that much resources is not feasible, I don't think. So we just send the embedding somewhere else, and that way it doesn't overload the extension itself.
And how often do you guys index a code base?
On every file change, like the initial, you install Roo Code, you open VS Code in your workspace. That is the first indexing, like a complete
Yeah.
indexing of the whole code base. But then after that, each file you delete and change and create gets indexed. So happens pretty often.
And how does the retrieval pipeline work? Because I'm sure people are very excited to hear about you have like this massive index of all of the code in a code base, and then I'm just saying implement feature X, and now you have to figure out what files that feature X actually needs to touch, and it seems like a pretty hard problem.
So the actual if you're talking about the search itself, we used Quadrant to perform the search. If you're talking about retrieval, as in how do we create the embeddings from the files that exist in the code base, we do have tree sitter support. So it's not just chunking in like 100 lines at a time. It's taking like actual contextual pieces of the code, like a function and a class and interfaces and all that. So it's not just like here are some random pieces of the file that mention the word login. It's actual like functions, complete functions. So I think that helps a lot with the quality of the results.
That was a perfect response. One of the questions we had on the stream was, what chunking strategy did you use to semantically split the code, and are you parsing with tree sitter? So, yeah, great to hear that.
I'd just like to insert a point here. A lot of people think that using indexing is not necessary at all. They point to things like, oh, this benchmark, that benchmark. And I think that those benchmarks are broken in the agentic workflow for measuring this sort of thing. Because I know one of the things that got us over the finish line on whether we were going to implement this feature was when I had an instance of Roo where I said, hey, tell me about boomerang tasks. And it grepped around, and then it said, is it, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, is this something that you talked about in a meeting? It actually asked me. And I mean, it was sort of a bizarre response. And then when I asked Roo with indexing, it was able to find it almost immediately. Now, the way of finding it, grepping, totally 100%. If I asked it a few times, yes, Roo would have found it. It's just a matter of, if I ask it with indexing, it finds it every single time. And I think that's the difference. It's that grepping will get you there most of the time. But when it doesn't, you don't know.
Yep.
So it absolutely impacts, I think. And so my whole mindset is to try each day to get 1% better at doing what I did yesterday with Roo Code, and that's how it's made better. So I think people going, oh yeah, but it's it's only a little bit. It absolutely multiplies.
Yeah, the compounding effect of anything really is so big, right? And 1% a day is over the course of a year, you've really made like a crazy improvement.
Yeah. So.
Great. We also wanted to ask you guys, like, what is top of mind for Roo Code? I mean, you guys have been awesome, and we know we use you internally, but like the world of agentic coding develops and improves so quickly. Like, how do you guys stay on top of it? What are the things that are top of mind for you right now?
I'll take the first swing at this. Each week, there seems to be some sort of model release. Sometimes it's a Kimi, sometimes it's a DeepSeek, sometimes it's an OpenAI model, Google model, etc. These can really shift where we're focusing that week. And depending on how strong they are, they can actually shift how we're going to be focusing on building the plugin. Because very quickly, advancements that one model makes seem to become meta. There was a time not very long ago where XML-based tool calling was janky. No, it works pretty good mostly. But now there seems to be these small models like Haiku that like that don't like it as much. So these things can vastly shift our priorities, which we want. We want to update this aspect of it, get the UI working better. And so our priorities are to, I guess, play constant catch up to that. And realistically, if you look at the driving force behind the Roo Code plugin development, it would be what is going to make it a better experience to allow users to use whatever large language model they select to actually code. So what make people go, well, I want auto completion, autocomplete. And there's really great autocomplete features out there. But will it make Roo Code code better? No, it is. And so our frame is really each day, what are we going to do to make Roo Code better and fix bugs, because they seem to be endless. Not that we're riddled with bugs, but it's just fast moving. We're not releasing like once a month. That would be great. We've released every day this week.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, the space moves way too fast for you guys and for us too. And we really do appreciate you guys onboarding every new model that comes out, because we both feel the same pain here. Our team, Tomas, and a lot of the people here at OpenRouter, we have stayed up on Saturdays, Sundays. Llama 4 decided to drop on in the middle of the weekend. We have had a lot of these Chinese models now that drop overnight. And we definitely feel both the pain and excitement of the new model drops as they come out.
Oh yeah, it's quite a roller coaster.
Yeah. Anything you wanted to ask Tomas?
I wanted to say thank you guys for joining us. If you wanted to do a last minute pitch, a last minute shout out to anything or for anything, I know, maybe the shout out is go try Roo Code with the new OpenRouter embeddings models, try the new Quen embedding models, all this other stuff. Feel free. And thank you guys for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having us. Yes, please. We love our Roo Code community, and we are looking forward to seeing more and more people to interact with and to help us shape the future of agentic coding. So if you love Roo Code, you've used it, please start it on GitHub. We could really use all your support. So thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we have Natwar just dropped the link to Roo Code there in the Twitter chat. I keep calling it Twitch. Thank you guys for joining us.
Okay, how do we get off stage now? Do we just leave?
I think you might just have to leave or close the...
Okay, I'm going to hit that red button. See you
Sounds
later.
good. First time for everything. All right. Okay, we're going to try to keep these episodes to about 30 to 40 minutes. So we'll do a little bit of an outro now. If there's any questions, comments you guys want to chat about in the stream, now would be the time to ask it. But we'll go ahead and be wrapping up here. One of the things we want to talk about next, actually, I'll start with a little recap of the episode, and then we'll talk about what's coming up next. And if you guys have anything in the chat to ask, feel free to do it now. Recapping our announcements, we have our TypeScript SDK beta launch. It's fully documented. You can grab it on NPM today. We have other languages coming soon. Main factor of the TypeScript SDK is now everything is type safe. You don't have to worry about random things we're doing in our API breaking your app if you're using raw requests. Should be a little bit better developer experience than the OpenAI SDK direct. Plenty of docs for that. We have our Exacto models, which we're still recommending. We're still doing a lot of work on. I'll be running another set of benchmarks on those soon. We have providers that have given us awesome updates on those. We have more modalities. Audio inputs now live in the API as well as in our chat room. We've recently added a couple of image output models, of course, Nano Banana and GPT Image. Expect more image models soon, TM, hopefully with some pretty soda image generation qualities. We also recently launched video inputs, currently supporting YouTube links for Gemini models, but that'll hopefully expand pretty soon. We'll do a fast follow. And what I want to call out about expanding modalities is the main reason we've been able to do so much of this recently is really because of customer feedback. We've known for a while that this is something the community has wanted, but you guys have been pretty persistent, and it's allowed us to kind of set our focus properly into shipping features that you want. So embeddings was a huge feature request. Image outputs are a huge feature request. And things like audio inputs and video are becoming more and more prevalent. We were talking about Cursor writing their blog post about embedding models recently, but they also launched an audio input feature. So now you can talk your way through the Cursor vibe coding. Now you can do all of this directly on the OpenRouter API, all of your audio inputs, all of your embeddings, all of your image generation, everything in one API, and we're really, really excited about that. We had a wonderful time chatting with Roo Code, and yeah, I'm happy. I think this was a pretty good first episode. Not too many hurdles.
Yeah, big shout out to Tomas and Netware, who've been working really hard in the background to get this thing going. I'm really excited to continue chatting with you guys. If there are any topics that you guys would love for us to chat about, please let us know, and we'll definitely bring it up next time.
Yeah. Tentatively, our next episode, maybe about a week from now. We'll see. We'll make sure to keep you guys updated, give you a little bit more heads up than this one. We want to get into talking about reasoning models. We have what seems to be a new wave of SOTA open source reasoning models with things like Minimax M2, Kimi K2 thinking. It sounds like Qwen 3 Max thinking is coming soon. So we'll get into that, give you some tips and tricks, and yeah, break down the history of that, including all this interleaved thinking stuff. So thanks for joining us. Let me check the chats here to see if anybody has anything fun to ask or talk about. And yeah, I think we will see you guys next week. Thank you again so much for joining us. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.